Hello, hello. It is now Monday. The last time I filmed was Friday, and I thought I would just keep on sewing, but we had a crazy thing happen. Our hot water tank kicked the bucket, so we've been kind of dealing with that all weekend and doing fun stuff with the kids, so I haven't gotten quite the chance to sew all weekend. So today I'm hoping to finish up my other jersey project for this month, the knit cardigan with a tassel that goes all around the outside. And using a twin needle always stresses me out, so I like to I put it off a little bit because I worry if it's gonna work out or how it's gonna go, so we'll deal with that all at the end. So I'm gonna trace out this pattern for this cardigan. Let me show you here. It is going to be this number 119 cardigan here. So cute. So I just bought the 2.5 meters of trim that goes around the outside, and it's so cute. Let me show you that. I'm back. So this is just the plain kind of almost like rib knit jersey that the cardigan's gonna be made out of. And then this is the tassel detail. So this is gonna go around the whole kind of front edge of the pattern. When I was in the store, the lady was like, oh my gosh, this is so retro. I've actually had a cardigan like store-bought that had the little kind of pom-poms that went all around the outside, and I loved it so much. I wore it to death till it had holes in it. So it's gonna be nice to have something in my collection that's really similar, and I think the length of this will be so cute to wear with dresses or with pants, kind of goes with everything staple in my wardrobe. The only thing I worry about is this doesn't stretch. Like, it has a little bit of stretch, but the jersey is very stretchy. So I wonder how that's gonna go, but I think it will be fine. Stick with me and we'll see. I'm just looking at the instructions right now, and it says that I'm tracing the red pattern line on sheet C, and red is always the pattern line that I mess up. So this is gonna be difficult, but we're gonna make it work. So when I am tracing out sewing patterns from Berta, I always like to trace the biggest pattern pieces first to kind of get them out of the way, and then it makes better use of the tracing paper too. So you use the biggest piece, and then you can kind of fill in the area around it with the smallest pieces, so you can use as little tracing paper as possible. So I'm gonna grab that and we will get to tracing. It's looking like we only have to trace 3 pattern pieces, 21, 22, and 23, which I love. All right, let's get tracing. So this is sheet number, or letter C. So it looks a little crazy. The way that I kind of like focus in on it is I look for the number that I'm looking for. So I'm gonna start with number 21. So here's number 21 on the kind of reference sheet. So there's numbers all along the top of the piece and all along the bottom of the piece here. So we find number 21 and kind of trace our finger down, and the 21 should kind of be somewhere in line with the number in the same area. I find that's how I find it. I don't know if that's how they make it out to be, but so this right here is the kind of long front edge of the number 21. So I just kind of start where the number is and trace out and just really follow what I'm looking for. So I'm gonna make a size 40, which is my size. And so the way that I kind of keep track of a size 40 is it's always the middle line when there is 5 lines. So I just keep track of the middle one and trace all the way through. Let's get tracing. So now I'm gonna go ahead and add the seam allowance to all my pattern pieces. So when I sew jersey, I normally only add a 1/4 inch seam allowance to all the seams, just because why waste the fabric if you're gonna just like cut it off anyways. And jersey stretches, so it's not like you'll have to let anything out. But the only thing I'm gonna add a bigger seam allowance to is the whole neckline where we're attaching that trim. just because the edge of this trim is more like a 1/2 inch. I'm gonna add 5/8 just to be safe and to make sure we have enough room to kind of tuck that edge under so only the tassels pop out. Now that we have that all traced, I'm gonna go around and cut everything. And I like to use my little mini rotary cutter here. My other one is like pressure activated, so you don't have to lock it. I always forget to put the lock on this one. So be safe, lock up your rotary cutters. Let's cut it out. I just took a little break for lunch. The hot water guy is here fixing our tank, or not the hot water guy, the plumber, gas fitter guy. So I'm gonna be sewing a little quietly. So I cut the pattern on the back piece is supposed to have a center back seam, but I had enough fabric to omit the center back seam, and I cut that on the fold. So my first step is gonna be sewing the shoulder seams instead of the center back seam. So let's do that. It is looking great already. So I have those shoulder sleeves sewn. So now I'm going to attach the arm piece flat, and then we will sew up the side seam of the arm piece and the, I guess, body pieces all in one go. Now those arms are attached and we'll just sew the whole inside it. So now that I have those side seams sewn, I have my trim here, and I'm just gonna go through and baste it around the edge first, and then I'm gonna switch to my twin needle and then top stitch the edge. So let's get sewing. So the pattern called for 2.4 meters of trim, and I bought 2.5 just to be safe, and I just had enough. I would have had to shorten. Maybe they did it to account for the seam allowance, but I don't think so. So be careful. Now that I have all those tassels sewn on, I'm gonna turn them right side out, and then I'm gonna top stitch that edge so I get a little bit of that kind of scallop detail, and then the tassels will be pointing outwards. So I just finished top stitching and now it's time to hem. So I tried on the sleeves and they were way too long, so I took some length off of it. But I made a major mistake thinking that my ruler that I use here, I always use this ruler to cut bias tape. So in my mind it's 1.5 inches, but you can obviously see it's 1, 2, 3 inches. So I meant to take about 1.5 inches off. I accidentally took 3 inches off by a total brain fart. So now I'm just gonna fold in the tiniest, like 1 centimeter hem for the arms and top stitch that down with a twin needle. And then for the bottom, I guess I'll match it so all the top stitching matches, but this is gonna be a crazy tiny little 1 centimeter hem.